And with breaking news we're following here at noon on WRAL, two big stories. Republican Jefferson Griffin has conceded in the race for the North Carolina Supreme Court seat, and the State Board of Elections Director Karen Brinson Bell will be let go. First off, we start with the North Carolina Supreme Court race and Republican Jefferson Griffin conceding this morning. Good afternoon to you. I'm Jeff Hogan.
And I'm Renee Chu. Thanks for joining us. Griffin sent a statement to the Associated Press saying he would not appeal a federal court ruling in favor of Justice Allison Riggs. WRAL's Laura Leslie is live at the State Supreme Court building in Raleigh. Laura, it's been plenty of legal back and forth up to this point.
It's been a long journey on this one, 6 months, I think, Renee. But, you know, Griffin's decision comes just 2 days after a judge ruled late Monday night, that's federal judge Richard Meyer, saying that all the votes that Griffin was attempting to challenge in this election must be counted. Meyer stayed that decision for 7 days to give Griffin a little bit of time to appeal that decision to the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals. But Griffin said today he will not do that. Incumbent Democrat Allison Riggs received 734 more votes than Jefferson Griffin in last fall's election. That's even after there were three recounts, actually. Griffin challenged those results, saying tens of thousands of ballots should not have been counted because those voters' files were incomplete in a state database, or because they never lived in North Carolina, or because they were military voters who had not been required to show ID. In his ruling Monday night, Myers bluntly dismissed all of Griffin's challenges, saying you can't change the rules of an election after the election has been conducted. In a statement, Griffin said that would be the final word. As a judge, I believe everybody, myself included, has a right to their day in court. This effort has always been about upholding the rule of law and making sure that every legal vote in an election is counted. Griffin went on to say, while I do not fully agree with the district court's analysis, I respect the court's holding. I will not appeal the court's decision. Griffin's concession clears the way for Riggs to be certified as the winner of that race, finally closing the book on the only election still resolved in this entire country. And just minutes ago, Riggs released a statement thanking the voters who were challenged for standing with her. I'm glad the will of the voters was finally heard. 6 months and 2 days after Election Day, it's been my honor to lead this fight, even though it never should have happened, she said in her statement. We've asked for interviews with both of the candidates, and we hope to bring those to you later today. Laura Leslie, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
A big shakeup today in political control over elections in North Carolina. Republicans took over a new majority at the State Elections Board this morning. WRAL state government reporter Will Dorn is at their meeting in downtown Raleigh. He reports that the state's election director was fired just minutes ago. Will.
That's right, Renee. Karen Brinson Bell has run North Carolina elections since 2019, but in about the last half an hour, yes, she has been fired. The new Republican-controlled board has picked Sam Hayes, a lawyer for the state Republican leadership, to take over the day-to-day operations of running elections in North Carolina.
What did Brinson Bell say about this decision, and have we heard from Hayes yet?
No word from Mr. Hayes, who just stepped into this job a few minutes ago. But Brinson Bell pulled no punches this morning in a statement that was provided to WRAL. She said elections have become toxic and lost their civility in recent years. She said that is driven by politicians who refuse to accept their losses and instead seek to spread conspiracy theories about elections instead. She didn't name President Donald Trump by name, but the state's election officials have seen a large increase in threats against them since 2020.
So, Will, what drove today's switch in political control at the Elections Board? Why did Democrats lose their majority to Republicans?
For most of the last 125 years here in North Carolina, the governor has overseen elections, but Republican state lawmakers passed a law last year after Governor Josh Stein won the election. This new law gives the GOP control over the Elections Board instead. And Governor Stein is fighting that in court, but the Republican majority Court of Appeals has ruled in favor of these changes, allowed them to go into place. And in the meantime, today, the board's new chairman, who is conservative activist Francis DeLuca, said that he plans to make sweeping changes, along with Hayes, to how elections are run in North Carolina to improve election integrity and voters' trust in the process.
All right, thanks. Will Dorn, WRAL state government reporter. These moves today could have big consequences for the 2026 elections and beyond.
Enjoy it while you can. We're talking about this beautiful weather. Tomorrow evening, our pattern changes. Our next weather maker rolls in. Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center right now. Look at the timeline for some late week rain.
We'll start with a big picture here, and you can see our next weather maker producing some showers and thunderstorms along the Gulf Coast. You can see this warm front, and rain spreads well ahead of it, and we're seeing some of that in the mountains and the foothills of North Carolina. We're not likely to see much of that today, but by tomorrow we'll have that chance, and I'll walk you through the timeline. Today we may see a few clouds streaming in our southern counties, but that next weather maker rolls in with a chance for some thunderstorms tomorrow afternoon and again during the day Friday. Also, we're trending slightly wetter for Sunday. A different system, in a way, a different front could help to bring some showers for Mother's Day, and we'll take a look at that in a few minutes. Our severe weather threat for tomorrow is up into Virginia, as well as a couple of our northwestern counties. We'll go into detail about that in just a few minutes, but most of us are not under any severe threat for tomorrow. At around 11 a.m., we begin to see the clouds really thickening up, and we could see a few light showers by lunchtime and through the afternoon, and then we'll likely get a break in the precipitation. After that, we'll be watching for first thing on Friday morning. There's Friday at midnight, or Thursday night at midnight, and you can see a few scattered showers in the morning on Friday. We'll also have a chance of some late afternoon and evening storms on Friday. So Friday will be overall the wetter day, and then we should get a break. All this should move south and eastward for Saturday. Saturday should feel comfortable. It'll be a little less humid. We were expecting to see that on Sunday, but watching a cold front very closely. It looks like a front that will be stalled to our south could start to lift northward. The models are pointing at that a little more heavily for this morning, or have been this morning. And so we're going to take a closer look at what Sunday could bring coming up.
Elizabeth, thanks. We're going to take you out to RDU now, where this is a live look at the airport. The REAL ID deadline has landed. Starting today, you will need a state-issued ID with a gold star in the corner or another form of acceptable identification, like a passport. People who don't have a REAL ID and have plans to travel should prepare for extra screening and should plan on getting to the airport early. WRAL's Monica Casey is live at RDU right now. Monica, it's going to be especially busy in the coming months.
That's right. This summer travel season gets very busy here at RDU, and it's right around the corner. You're going to want to make sure you have your REAL ID before then to avoid any possible delays. You can still fly without it, but it might take you a bit longer to get through security. Other options you can use include your passport, global entry card, a DoD ID, or a permanent resident card. On top of these changes to flying rules, we're also going to be seeing changes specifically here at RDU.
We're building a new runway, expanding our busiest terminal, Terminal 2, adding more parking spaces, expanding and widening John Brantley Boulevard, opening more restaurants, and of course, building a ground transportation center.
Another exciting change coming here, 2 new destinations. Breeze Airways is beginning service to Key West starting in October and Manchester, New Hampshire starting in November. Now, according to the TSA, 81% of travelers already have their REAL IDs to fly. Live at RDU, Monica Casey, WRAL News.
Coming up at 12:30, we'll look at the impact the new security measure is having at DMV offices.
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, the conclave has begun to select a new pope. This is a live look outside the Vatican right now. Hundreds of people are gathered out there waiting to see who the next pope will be. Of course, that could take a couple of days. But cardinals, 133 cardinals are in the Sistine Chapel right now. It's a very secretive voting process. The chapel is under lockdown for that. Even cell signal around the chapel has been blocked. 133 cardinals are behind closed doors. They will be until a new leader is selected. NBC's Lester Holt has more.
This morning, prayers at St. Peter's Basilica. Cardinals gathering for a special mass
In nomine Patris.
ahead of the start of a centuries-old ritual that will elect a new pope. 133 cardinals from around the world will make the decision. Amongst them, 10 Americans. As they boarded buses to the secluded quarters where they'll be staying during the strictly confidential conclave. Later, an oath of secrecy at the Vatican. Then they will be shut off from the outside world, handing over their phones, and will stay together, eat together. until a new leader emerges. The Sistine Chapel ready to witness history again. Beneath Michelangelo's famed frescoes, long rows of tables and chairs for the cardinal electors who will choose their new leader.
Will we be able to see and sense the heaviness of the moment, the burden of the moment, if you will?
I think so. They feel the weight of it. And then how can you not walk into the Sistine Chapel and there's the ceiling and there's the Last Judgment staring at you? They all sense the kind of awesomeness of the moment.
Numbered wooden balls and ballots will be used during the crucial rounds of votes, then burned in stoves inside the chapel. All eyes in St. Peter's Square will be on this chimney. Black smoke meaning no agreement. White smoke means a pope has been chosen. When elected, Francis's successor will make a first appearance on the balcony.
Lester Holt reporting there. Carolina Hurricanes are off to a hot start in their series with the Washington Capitals. Round 2 is underway. This was a come-from-behind win, a Jacob Slavin goal in overtime, a 2-1 victory in Game 1 up in D.C. Washington, they'll be up there again tomorrow night. Game 2, puck drop for that is at 7 o'clock. And after the game, only WRAL has expert analysis and exclusive insights. We'll break down every pivotal moment, what it means, what's next, and what you need to know. Canes exclusive post-game live, only on WRAL at 11:25 after every playoff game.
Next at noon, Cardinals in the conclave. What is behind this process as it has now gone behind closed doors?
Also, flooded vehicle scam. 5 on your side uncovers how people get ripped off buying cars flooded out by Helene.
Plus, run down in the line of duty. How this firefighter is doing after he was hit by a car at a crash scene.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.
And we want to give you a live look at St. Peter's Square in Vatican City as the election process to replace Pope Francis is underway. I guess we don't quite have that, but the last 7 conclaves have taken 2 to 4 days, so the new pope could be elected by the end of the week. All eyes will be on that chimney at the Sistine Chapel. Joining us now to explain the conclave process is Peter Casarella. He's a professor of theology at Duke Divinity School. Professor, thank you so much for joining us. Can you walk us through what happens during conclave? What are the key steps that the cardinals follow behind closed doors?
Sure. Thanks for having me, Renee. So now that the doors are locked, we have the conclave, which literally means with the key. Presumably, the first vote is taking place even as we speak. So each time a cardinal elector, there's 133 cardinal electors, that is the members of the College of Cardinals who are under the age of 80. Each time he goes up, he hands it to one of the 3 scrutineers. These are chosen by lot, 3 cardinals who are there to check the votes. There's also 3 infirmari to help those who are aged and can't walk, and 3 revisers to double check the ballots. Once the ballot is handed in as a folded piece of paper on a plate, it's then put through a thread so it can't be used again. And each time an elector votes, he swears to God again in Latin that he's following his conscience and choosing the best candidate. If 2/3 of the electors choose one candidate, then we'll see white smoke and we'll have Habemus Papam, we'll have a pope after this first vote. I doubt seriously that will happen. So if there's no pope by the end of the day today, they'll go back, have dinner and rest in private, no access to social media, everything blocked, and they'll begin again tomorrow. So for the next few days, there'll be 2 votes in the morning and 2 votes in the afternoon. If after 3 days they don't reach 2/3, they'll take a pause, pray for a day, and then there'll be 7 more ballots after that, and then a pause. And after the 4th pause, they'll vote on the majority vote. They'll select the pope from the majority vote of the remaining 2 candidates. So that's the process as I see it.
And this process has been in place for hundreds of years. Given how unique each papal conclave can be, what factors do you think might influence how quickly or slowly a new pope is chosen?
Hard to say, but I know that there's been general congregations, that is meetings of all the College of Cardinals, and each one was allowed to speak in the last 10 days. Now in the evening, it's just the elector cardinals, no access to the outside world, but there are opportunities for sidebars, conversations over dinner, discussions of the candidates, and these will be very important. There's going to be differences of opinion, differences of approach, but hopefully they can work that out in the time they have together. So I can't predict. In the past, it's been everywhere between 11 hours and 3 years, but let's hope it's just a matter of days.
And Professor, we just have about 15 seconds left, but do you think the Cardinals will likely pick a successor who's in the mold of Pope Francis or go in a different direction?
Again, I don't have a crystal ball. We could see Francis II, or we could see a return to an Italian diplomat, or we could see a pope from Asia or Africa. That's all up in the air.
The world will be watching. Thank you so much, Professor Casarella from Duke Divinity School. Thanks for sharing your insights.
My pleasure.
Can't get much more of a different selection process than this here today. The jury will be selected in the trial of Sean Diddy Combs. 6 prospective jurors were selected yesterday to move forward to the next round of questioning. Combs is facing a number of federal charges, including sex trafficking, racketeering, and transportation to engage in prostitution. He has pleaded not guilty to all the charges. Opening statements are scheduled to begin Monday.
Oh, such a beautiful day out there. You'll definitely want to get outside if you can. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with a look at the beautiful blue sky and sunshine. A nice spring day in North Carolina.
Lots of people out, too. Take a look at this. It's a live look down Fayetteville Street. People enjoying their lunch under the umbrellas, walking up and down. It looks absolutely beautiful, doesn't it? Lots of sunshine. Our humidity is low. Just a gorgeous day. This is our camera courtesy of Jimmy V restaurant there. And I wish we were all out there, right? 78 degrees right now with a dew point of 50. Now, this number is a measure of moisture in the atmosphere. And the lower it is, the more comfortable it feels. It feels really sticky and oppressive once it gets up to 70. So this dew point at 50, even with a high of 81, feels very comfortable. It really does feel very much like spring. 72 in Roxborough, 75 in South Hill, 80 in Fayetteville and Clinton. But really everywhere, we're seeing a nice low dew point or low humidity. Right now in Apex, 78, 75 in Garner, 77 in Cary, 78 in Wake Forest. So it's a beautiful day. I love this reported photo from a few days ago. This was actually from Alan Skinner from Nash County. You can see that beautiful rainbow, full rainbow there. Go to WRAL.com/report it and send us whatever pictures you'd like. Maybe some flowers that are coming up in your yard. If you're starting to see a few vegetables coming up, anything you have that you want to share with us. Raleigh at 81, 79 in Durham and 83 in Fayetteville. Those are our high temperatures for this afternoon. And it will be the perfect evening for a Durham Bulls game. They have a homestand. 6 o'clock temperature, 78 degrees, 77 at 7 o'clock and 74 at 8 o'clock. Looking really pretty. Might be a little cloudy by then in some spots, but definitely a lovely evening for baseball. Our normal high is 78, and we have a lot of 70s in our forecast all the way through the weekend and into early next week. Part of that is because we'll see more cloud cover and also a chance of rain. For Thursday, it's likely to come fairly late in the day, maybe mid-afternoon into the evening, and then on Friday also about a 40% chance of showers and thunderstorms. Our muggy meter right now is feeling comfortable at 50. Of course, we checked in on that a few minutes ago, but it's likely to climb all the way up into the 60s by tomorrow and Friday with that chance for some rain coming in. Saturday, it drops off a little bit, and Sunday, it may be a little bit up in the air. Sunday is Mother's Day. We're watching that very closely to see where our front may end up. Carolina Beach is looking absolutely gorgeous right now. Look at all those people enjoying that. You want to be there? Rip current risk. We're going to take a look at that right now. For the next 3 days, it looks pretty good from our on our southern coast. But yesterday, 5 people up and down the coast of North Carolina had to be pulled out because of rip current. So it's something that we need to be thinking about as folks are making plans to head to the beach. Thursday and Friday along the Outer Banks, we have a moderate risk. So always check it before you head out. Again, don't forget it is Mother's Day. How about breakfast in bed and midday brunch and make mom dinner? It'll be nice and cool in the morning on Mother's Day, and then 71 at lunchtime, 77 at dinner time. Just don't forget, just do something for mom. She'll be happy. I put on 20% chance of rain for Sunday. Coming up, I'm going to show you on Futurecast where that front could be and how it could bring us maybe a small chance for rain on Mother's Day. That is the ideal Mother's Day planner, Elizabeth. Copy and paste that, okay? And, send it to the rest of the family. Here's what we're doing for mom. Do curfews work? It's a question many are wondering after cities have put one in place for teens 18 and younger, including at some popular spots like malls. Today on WRAL News at 4, if some cities have seen success and how they hope it brings down crime rates.
And stopping the milk ban. State lawmakers reversed their plans to ban raw milk in North Carolina At 5:30, how the move goes against public health warnings and the dangers it could cause if you drink it. Also still ahead this noon, buyer beware. Vehicles flooded during Hurricane Helene are now being cleaned up and sold. 5 on your side's Keely Arthur will explain how you can spot potential flood damage.
Plus, bankrupt. Weight Watchers files for bankruptcy, the competition it's facing, and how it hopes to recover. Thousands of cars, trucks, and SUVs were flooded during Hurricane Helene. Scammers are looking to profit off those vehicles at your expense. 5 on your side's Keely Arthur explains how they're doing it.
Check it out. This Toyota Camry was flooded during Helene and then sold at auction. Auto experts warn scammers will clean cars like this up, conceal evidence of damage, then sell them to unsuspecting buyers for thousands more than they're really worth. The biggest problems caused by flooding may not reveal themselves immediately.
These cars, even with minor damage, could be a ticking time bomb because first you have to think about the cost. Even a little bit of water damage can lead to electrical issues, and fixing it can be very costly. Of course, if you get a little bit of water in the engine or the oil system, it can really wreck the engine.
Now, because scammers are so good at this, 5 on your side is helping you spot vehicles with potential flood damage. The one thing you should ask for during every used car purchase and why it's a big red flag if the seller won't do it. Keely Arthur, 5 on your side.
And look for Keely's report tonight on WRAL News starting at 4 p.m.
Weight Watchers has filed for bankruptcy. The 62-year-old diet program announced yesterday it entered Chapter 11. During the bankruptcy process, Weight Watchers says operations for members will continue as normal. The company expects to emerge in about 40 days as a publicly traded company with its massive $1.5 billion in debt eliminated. Weight Watchers has struggled to keep up with more convenient weight loss options, including GLP-1 drugs like Ozempic. Real ID, now a reality. From now on, federal identification will be required at the airport. What you need to know if you still haven't paid a visit to the DMV.
Plus, real-world impact, how the trade war with China is starting to affect Americans. Here's a look at the winning North Carolina education lottery numbers.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your #1 source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
Moving forward, you will need a real ID to fly or another form of acceptable identification.
The new security measure is creating long lines at the DMV. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey explains this is not the last day to get a real ID, but if you do need one today, you could be waiting a while.
People started waiting in this line at the DMV on Maynard Road in Cary at 4:30 this morning. So some of these folks were able to get inside, but at some point this line had nearly 50 people in it and it was wrapped around the building. Drone 5 captured this video of a line outside before this DMV office opened. If you've gotten a new ID in the last few years, it could already be a real ID. If you're not sure, just look for a star in the upper right corner of your driver's license. The DMV is trying to cut wait times. Last month, the North Carolina DMV extended their work hours at 42 locations, but people are still stuck waiting in line for hours. Calvin Easton says he waited in line to get a real ID yesterday and couldn't get one. Now he's back in line again.
Me being an over-the-road truck driver, if I have to fly from Florida back to North Carolina for emergency without that ID, it's no good. Or if I'm in Texas somewhere and have to fly for emergency back home, then I have a problem with it. So I have to renew and get the real ID.
And here's an update for you. Eason was able to make it inside here. And as a reminder, it's not too late to get a real ID. DMV says that they will still be issuing them past this May 7th deadline. And there's really no rush to get one unless you have airport travel sometime soon. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News in Cary.
We have you covered on all things related to Real ID. If you have any questions about other forms of identification, how you can fly without one, and the scams you should be on the lookout for, head to WRAL.com, search Real ID.
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, the process to choose a new pope is underway at the Vatican, where you are looking live. You can see hundreds of people gathered in St. Peter's Square. There, 133 cardinals are in the Sistine Chapel right now. This is a very secretive process. The Sistine Chapel under lockdown for this voting process. There will only be one round of voting this afternoon, but if a decision is not made, the cardinals will vote up to 4 times every day afterwards. A 2/3 majority is required for a new pope to be elected. That will be announced when white smoke comes billowing from this chimney here of the Apostolic Palace. White smoke means that a pope has been chosen. Black smoke means there needs to be more voting done. The process, of course, could take a couple of days.
Michelle, thanks. Republican Jefferson Griffin conceded this morning. His decision comes after a ruling Monday night by a federal judge. That judge said all the votes Griffin was attempting challenge must be counted. This is in the state Supreme Court race. Myers held his decision for 7 days to allow Griffin time to appeal to the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals. And Griffin announced this morning that he will not.
2 men took themselves to the hospital after a shooting in Durham. Police on that scene marked more than 20 shell casings, and it happened right near the intersection of Holloway Street and North Briggs Avenue about 6:30 yesterday evening. Those men are expected to recover. We'll bring you details as investigators learn more.
A member of the Cotton Volunteer Fire Department in Cumberland County was hit by a car. He was responding to a crash on US 301. This morning, he is alive and recovering. The moment he was hit was captured on dash camera. You can see the car did not slow down passing the crash scene. Other responders jumped out of the way. The car ended up hitting firefighter Wayman Hudson. Hudson took to Facebook last night, sharing in part, this was completely preventable. A lot of lives could have been lost here. This is a reminder for everyone to be aware while driving, especially near emergency response scenes. Today, Asian American leaders voiced their concerns at the state legislature. Organizers say they wanted to talk with lawmakers about plans that affect immigrant and multilingual communities. It's also an opportunity for members to engage with legislative representatives to build relationships and advocate for important issues. North Carolina.
Let us not only celebrate the leadership that comes before us, but commit to expanding the table for those who are still waiting to lead.
North Carolina Asians Americans Together is a nonprofit focused on bringing together the Asian American community in our state. They focus on civil engagement and political participation.
For the first time, cargo ships are reaching American shores carrying Chinese imports with 145% tariffs. This comes as the Trump administration says it will hold the highest level trade talks yet with Chinese officials. Amy Kiley has a look at what's at stake.
My sense is that this will be about de-escalation, not about the big trade deal.
Top U.S. and Chinese officials are set to discuss tariffs in Switzerland this weekend. Authorities say Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer will be there.
We don't want to decouple. What we want is fair trade.
The Chinese Commerce Ministry confirms the talks. It says it's, quote, taking into full consideration global expectations, China's own interests, and the appeals of American businesses and consumers. It's unclear if the countries have negotiated much or anything already, given mixed messages like these.
They've reached out since the 145% tariffs.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah.
Do you believe
a lot?
Do you believe
a lot all the time? We're talking.
These will be the highest level trade talks we've seen between the United States and China since those 145% tariffs went into place.
That's correct.
The meeting comes as the U.S.-China trade war causes concern for many U.S. investors.
Markets basically saying, show us the deals.
And for U.S. business owners.
There are 900,000 workers in Southern California connected to the supply chain, and there are 9 million across the United States.
Some supply chain experts also report less cargo is entering the U.S. They warn that could cause inventory shortages.
The cargo doesn't lie. You're seeing the price increases come through.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
Making learning fun. See why our Teacher of the Week is such a standout at our school.
Hurricane preparedness. Meteorologist Chris Michaels explains why the strength of a hurricane when it makes landfall, that category, doesn't tell the whole story.
Our teacher of the week is a standout educator at Vance Elementary School in Wake County.
WRAL's Ken Smith introduces us to this third grade teacher with a unique style of making learning fun.
Pull out your fluency poems. In my bed, I'm known to mutter.
Fluency poems are a regular part of Melissa Gilbert's lesson
Gobs
plan,
of jelly. Peanut butter and salmon.
with plenty of rhyme and reason behind them.
I get kind of silly. The kids want to move, and so they just started chanting, but it helped with memorization, and it became something that kind of brought our classroom together and made it a different classroom culture, which was something I wasn't expecting, but pleasantly surprised. Do me a favor, high five 3 friends. Tell them they did an awesome job.
This culture of togetherness and harmony among her students started for Miss Gilbert when she was a little girl growing up and always had visions of being a teacher.
My mom was a mom of 7, and my mom was my first teacher. She homeschooled us for a couple years, so my siblings were my first classmates. Put your hands up in the air. Wave them like you just don't care.
Over the course of the school year, Miss Gilbert's students learned more than 30 fluency poems, which actually sets the foundation for how they learn and retain information. It's been an uplifting and successful formula throughout her 14 years so far in the classroom.
I'm a psych major, but I also have my education degree, and being able to work with kids is something completely different, and learning how their brains work. And for me, it's more of being a part of their journey is huge, and it's an honor just to be able to be a part of it. But I couldn't imagine doing anything else.
Miss Gilbert, you are WRAL's Teacher of the Week. Give her a big round of applause. Ken Smith, WRAL News.
That'll get their hands up, waving like they just don't care. It's awesome. If you would like to nominate a teacher, you can go to WRAL.com and enter Teacher of the Week in the search box.
I'm inspired. Give 3 friends a high five today.
Good job.
Well, hurricane season, it's almost here. Coming up, we ask a meteorologist about the type of category storms are given, and we look back at the state's biggest threats.
Plus, a stolen yacht. A man takes a 68-foot vessel on a joyride. What police believe his motive was behind this grand theft auto. A man is accused of stealing this 68-foot yacht and then leading Florida officers on a chase for more than an hour before they were able to stop him. Police say the suspect stole the 3-story boat from a dock in Jupiter, Florida. A dockmaster spotted the theft and called police, but it took several law enforcement agencies to come up with a plan on how to trap the boat. Investigators are still looking for a motive.
A theory is this vessel was being stolen and moved to the Bahamas for a smuggling venture, but we have not been able to verify that.
Yeah, the man arrested is a Russian national who was seeking asylum when he entered the U.S. in 2022. He currently has an ICE detainer and is being charged for several crimes, including grand theft auto.
Take a look at this. Severe storms caused major damage in parts of Texas. This video was taken in the city of College Station. That's where Texas A&M University is located. You can see flooding made those roads look like rivers. Hurricane season starts in less than a month. Meteorologist Chris Michaels shows us the biggest threat to North Carolina in recent years and shows us why the category storms are given doesn't matter sometimes.
You know, over the past few years, the most impactful storms we've seen have been tropical storms or Category 1 hurricanes, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit. But over the past 75 years, we've had at least 50 landfalling storms. As you know, it doesn't take a landfall for a storm to impact us here in North Carolina. You just look back to Helene, which did not make a landfall in North Carolina, but it moved through the state, and it prompted 34 flood emergencies between North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, and Kentucky. Those emergencies are issued in extremely rare incidences when there's a severe threat to life and catastrophic damage. Unfortunately, yes, that's something that we saw with Helene with some of the extreme rain that moved in. It was more than 30 inches of rain that was recorded in Yancey County. We also saw that, though, during Florence in 2018. Elizabethtown, that holds the record for the state for a tropical storm in terms of rainfall. And then, of course, Matthew back in 2016. And notice that each of of those storms, a lot of the fatalities that happened during them were due to inland flooding, something that we hope to never see again. But nonetheless, we do know that systems like this impact our state. We'll be looking toward that with our tropical outlook that airs May 20th at 6 p.m. right here on WRAL News.
Point taken. I mean, we've seen Category 3s seemingly not do much, and then we've seen tropical storms, Category 1s, do a lot of damage.
Yeah, hurricane season around the corner, and this is a sweet spot now leading up to it. Meteorologist Elizabeth Garner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. We savor this quiet, calm weather.
And you guys bring up a good point, because hurricanes are categorized based on wind speed. And yes, wind speed does damage, but it's the rain, it's the flooding that actually kills the most people. And that's not what they're rated on. So it's something that you really have to pay attention to. We do our best job of letting people know what this storm is really going to do. So it's important to check in with us when we have storms like that headed our way. Absolutely beautiful today, that's for sure. A little bit more cloud cover down in Fayetteville. Of course, I showed you earlier. I'm going to show it to you again. A system down along the Gulf Coast, which is feeding at least some cloud cover our way. Raleigh, Apex, Chapel Hill, all looking good. A little bit of high, thin cloud cover there in Chapel Hill, courtesy of Top of the Hill restaurant. Here's a look at our big picture again. This particular cluster of thunderstorms along that warm front really did a good bit of damage. We had some flooding here across Texas yesterday, and now that's moving right along the Gulf Coast. And way out ahead of it, we have some showers in South Carolina and in western North Carolina. And that's what's helping to bring us those high, thin clouds. Definitely starting to see that here in Moore County, Hoke County, headed towards most of our viewing area. But it should be high, thin cloud cover. And any light rain that we're seeing around parts of western North Carolina and South Carolina is likely to stay to the west today. Now, it will get closer to us tomorrow, and it'll bring us a chance of some showers and thunderstorms potentially as early as the early part of the afternoon tomorrow, then on and off on Friday. And then it stalls to the south and may gradually lift northward on Sunday. So we're trending a little bit wetter for Sunday. We've seen a couple of runs of the computer models, some of those yesterday, and then again today, which gives us a little bit more confidence that we may end up with some rain on Saturday. I hate it. It's Mother's Day. We were, really happy to have a nice dry weekend. But tomorrow we have a level 1 risk up in Mecklenburg County, Virginia, the northern part of Granville County, and then Person County as well. And this is likely to be where we could have a few storms with wind damage. But again, it's a level 1 risk, so it would be isolated. This is Thursday morning. Tomorrow morning, you could see some cloud cover and the possibility of some showers as early as lunchtime to mid-afternoon. And then the potential for more of those storms to develop later on. Overnight, this is midnight on Thursday night into Friday morning. There's 7 a.m. on Friday morning. So a couple of the models, several runs have shown a little rain for us on Friday morning. We'll continue to watch that for you tomorrow. And then a chance of some afternoon and evening storms on Friday too. So if you had any outdoor plans on Friday, that could be a little iffy. Here's a look at what happens on Saturday. We're going to pause it here at 5 o'clock Saturday. That cold front moves north and theoretically takes all that rain with it. But look what happens now on Sunday. Sunday morning looks fairly dry. That's 6 a.m. But then we start to see some of that rain bumping up to the north during the day on Sunday. That's maybe a worst case scenario. And we're going to see how many more runs of the computer models come in showing that rain for Sunday. I went ahead and just took it to 20% for Sunday. We may have to bump that up a little bit more depending on how things are looking. Also went with the yellow for Sunday, just a little caution light there to let you know that we're watching that. Right now, Saturday looks really nice. We should see sunshine, low humidity, a very similar day to what we're seeing today. Saturday's high 73 and Sunday 78. It definitely looks like we're looking at some wet conditions for Monday and Tuesday. So we certainly do have a number of days in our 7-day forecast that could be at least somewhat wet.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Quite a sticky spot here. A Kentucky mom gets a surprise delivery after her 8-year-old son got a hold of her cell phone. How much this unexpected order is setting her back.
And here's a look at your winning Mega Millions numbers. Beautiful blue skies out there as you take a live look from the WRAL Garner Tower. So pretty. Enjoy this day as we'll have rain in the forecast for the next 2 days. As we wrap things up, here's a look at a few of the headlines we are following today.
Republican Jefferson Griffin conceded this morning. Griffin sent a statement to the Associated Press saying he would not appeal a federal court ruling in favor of Justice Allison Riggs. Griffin's decision comes after a ruling Monday night by a federal judge who said all the votes Griffin was attempting to challenge must be counted. He held his decision for 7 days to allow Griffin time to appeal the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals.
A big shakeup today in political control over elections in North Carolina. Karen Brinson Bell has run North Carolina's election since 2019, but in the last half hour, she has been fired. The new GOP control board named Sam Hayes to take over the day-to-day operations of running elections in North Carolina.
People who don't have a real ID and have plans to travel should prepare for extra screening time and should plan on getting to the airport just a little earlier. You can still fly without it, but it may take longer. Other options you can use include your passport, global entry card, a DOD ID, or a permanent resident card.
A Kentucky mom found herself stuck with more than 70,000 lollipops and out of thousands of dollars. Holly LaFavors was surprised to find stacks of boxes containing the Dum Dum suckers on her front doorstep. The delivery was ordered by her son Liam, who was playing on her phone. Well, the surprise got worse after she checked her bank account and saw that she owed $4,000 for that lollipop order. The Favors tried to stop the orders before all the treats arrived, but it was too late, and the boxes arrived. Liam has development issues, and his mom says the condition affects his decision-making.
He told me that he wanted to have a carnival, and he was ordering the Dum Dums as prizes for his carnival. So, again, he was being friendly, he was being kind to his friends.
The intent was pure. LaFavors did finally get her $4,000 refunded. She says she will change some settings on her phone so this doesn't happen again.
I want to go to his carnival. Sounds good. There's a new study that finds ancestors of the Tyrannosaurus Rex likely came to North America on a land bridge from Asia. Paleontologists say the research shows the dinosaurs likely crossed the Bering Strait from Siberia to Alaska about 70 million years ago. The study's authors say this means there could be undiscovered fossils of T-Rex ancestors in Asia.
Legalizing raw milk. State lawmakers reverse course on a proposed ban. Coming up this afternoon on our News at 4, why they are now leaning toward making raw milk more accessible.
Have a good day. We'll see you tomorrow.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.